Very.
Hello.
Hi.
And
So we are starting the live stream on our page, but we will start also the conversation between us. First of all, let me thank you to accept our invitation to participate in this meeting. It's a friendly meeting with you, and you both come from Germany, from Poland, and we have also Alessia from left and Stefano Galieni that is hosting with me the meeting as trans from Italy. We decided to have this meeting some days ago, when the situation between the Constitutional Court of Poland and the UE was on the agenda, on the table, the discussion how Europe touched the national identity and the national democracy also. It's one of the issue that we want to address in this meeting. But then suddenly, Poland offered us also the opportunity to talk not only of the Poland situation, of course that is important, and we would like to know much better than one we have now. But at the same time to talk about what kind of relation Europe or the European Union has with the national identity, with national constitution, but also with national economies or national migrant policies. And what we see, it's that it's not only a national question, how to deal with migrants, how to deal with democracy, how to deal with economical or COVID situation. So we want to also to offer the opportunity to talk about what kind of Europe at the end we are building, or we are in front of us. So this is the opportunity to have you and to present also the capacity as a media alliance that is a network of journalists coming from different areas of the continent, offer the opportunity to have also a sharing of point of view that it's quite important for us, and also to build, as we say, a European leftist point of view, not only state by state, but situation by situation, but create a sort of European left point of view on things that maybe are different in each country, but at the end we can have a common situation and a common solution for the problem that we have in different countries. So that's why I leave the floor now right away to Alessia, that will offer you some question and interact with you for the meeting. So Alessia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Roberto. As you already said, I'm here today in the double vest of Media Alliance project manager and contributor of Left magazine. So thank you very much. This represents me very well. And today event focuses on Poland, but we must not forget what happens in Italy, our country. Something that as Media Alliance and Left magazine, we hope to always tell the best we can. The current situation in Italy is very dark in many ways. We are behind the rights of LGBTQ plus people with the Zan law that was blocked one step away from implementation and for being in place. And we are behind with the right of access to abortion, with entire Italian regions that risk to remain without gynecologists that are not conscientious objectors that don't refuse to do abortion on women. And not to mention the fact that those born in Italy to foreign parents, migrant parents, have no relationship. We are very, very behind of that. And what we must hope is that an increasingly fruitful relationship with the European institution that goes beyond the debates on constitutional issues that we will talk about today, and which Professor Fiammetta Salmoni wrote on Left magazine. And we, as Roberto already said, must build something as a European public opinion that maybe can move the institutions and go ahead of these issues that we are talking about. Now, I leave the floor to Małgorzata Kulbaczewska, the director of Strajk.eu magazine, that will introduce us the Poland situation. Thank you, Małgorzata.
Thank you, Alessia, for the invitation. Thank you, everybody, for making this roundtable on Poland. And what you said about the necessity of building a leftist European opinion and not only left-wing forces in every separate country gets particular weight now after what you said about the right to abortion in Italy and migrant situation in Italy. It happens that Poland is facing basically the same problems, and basically we went a few steps further in the extreme right-wing direction. What you said about doctors refusing to perform abortions on the grounds of conscience was a problem in Poland a few years ago already. Right now, the whole Polish citizens were basically deprived of the right to abortion because, well, all the Poland is one big field of the objections of conscience. It was the extreme right-wingers made abortion prohibited in most of cases. And this week, Polish women faced an even more horrific perspective, that abortion will be equalized with murder, and that performing an abortion would be punishable with 5 up to 25 years of imprisonment, or even life imprisonment in, I don't know what they meant by this, in the most extreme cases. Basically, this would turn Poland into a Salvador of Europe. We know the women in Salvador are imprisoned for performing abortion, or even for a miscarriage is considered also a form of abortion. Luckily for us, female citizens of Poland, this bill was rejected yesterday by the parliament, and this time the right-wing government claimed that it could not support it because it was an extreme proposal and it would not contribute to, as they put it, protection of life. Well, whatever they say, it is a reason still to be happy that the bill was not accepted, but we Polish women are still in fear for our rights, for we know that this stopped at this moment because they were afraid of social unrest, they were afraid that they would lose voters, but still this idea of protection of life at any cost, which means protection of a fetus because women's life is worth nothing, as we see. This idea is still on, and it will be sooner or later brought again to the parliament. Here we don't have any doubt. Well, and also here I would like to refer to what Roberto said at the beginning about the European Union, national questions, and European Union and defending human rights. A lot of Polish women are now asking themselves a question: why didn't European Union intervene more decisively once Poland banned abortion last year? Why the European Union's reactions did not go beyond proclamations, beyond declarations of the European Parliament and the words of support, but only only words of support directed to Polish women. And here I think we must ask ourselves a question: to what extent European Union actually is ready to defend human rights that are on the very basis of its formation. I think that in the case of Polish women's rights, European Union did not pass the test of solidarity, because really we Polish women need much more than only words of solidarity. Solidarity is something that we can offer to each other, because I'd like to say that right now, after the counter-revolutionary offensive against the Polish women's rights, there was never such a high degree of solidarity between women. It is now easier than at any time to find out how to perform an abortion at home. It is now easier than at any time in Poland to find women who are going to support you, who will help you to go to Czech Republic or Germany if you need to, or who will get you the pills ready for medical abortion at home. But as we know, it is not efficient. It does not save women. It does not guarantee us that if the pregnancy gets really bad, we will not die in a hospital like a 30-year-old citizen of Poland died not long ago. And the question of human rights and European Union is also visible in the second problem that is now on the top on Polish public opinion, that is the issue of migration. For basically a few days ago, the European Commission basically agreed to the politics of pushbacks pushed by Polish government by formulating the new suggestions how to help Lithuania, Latvia and Poland in the crisis, and agreeing that the migrants would be forced to send the asylum applications only in chosen points on the borders. Basically gave the green light to Polish government to push back those who are, well, not happy enough to reach the checkpoint. And here also we need a profound debate on how European migration policy looks like, and isn't it not already taking the direction shown by the Polish government? This non-humanitarian, that is inhuman, I would even say, that directly leads to migrants' death now in the forests of Belarus and Poland. But we also know about the migrants dying in the La Manche and earlier in the Mediterranean. So here I'd like to say once again, I would stress the need to build leftist European leftist public opinion in the whole Europe. It's not that we, the Poles, have a problem with border or with migration. It's a universal problem which reappears here and there. And it is not that only Polish women were now deprived of their basic rights. The extreme right is marching through the whole continent, and we must unite our forces to stop it.
Thank you, Małgorzata. And I find very dreadful the part about the natural miscarriage in the law of abortion, because you can't do anything about it. So why you have to be persecuted by the law? And also we can find for Left, I wrote often about women's rights and women's issues, gender issues, and I found that anti-abortion laws not guarantee in the practice less abortion, but less security for women's health. So I found very, very worrying the Poland situation and the direction of the laws in Poland. So I don't know if you agree with me, but I think so.
Yes, it is true that anti-abortion laws never eliminated abortion. We know that from Irish example, we know that from Latin America. We also know that from Poland, where We had even periodically a scandal when the public opinion found out the right-wing politicians actually procured abortion for his lover, for his daughter, for his sister, whatever. So we could see with our own eyes that actually this is not an instrument to control abortions because we can't do that. It is an instrument to humiliate women, just straightforward like this. This is an instrument to show women where are their place and what are they supposed to do to be valuable members of the society. And here I would like to say about one more thing that happened in Polish Parliament just 1 day ago. We rejected the parliament rejected the Stop Abortion bill, but at the same time it keeps working on setting up the Institute of Demographics and Family. And this institute is supposed to be a state institution which would control Polish families, which would be able to intervene in individual families' case, and which would be also able to give, I don't know, suggestions to the government what to do to make Polish women to have more children. So we all are in fear that it would be again an institution that conserves a patriarchal family, that confines women at home with children, and that basically does not do anything to fight the inter-family violence that is still a problem in Poland. So instead of supporting women, instead of empowering women, Polish right is doing everything to put women under control and to, well, reduce them to, well, I don't know, machines, to procreative machines. This happens.
Yeah, thank you. I agree perfectly with you. And we continue to talk about women with Wojciech Łobodziński, a journalist of yours, of Strajk.eu. And Wojciech, you wrote 2 articles for Left magazine that I translated in Italian. I read it, they're very interesting. And also Małgorzata are in the way, little spoiler. And Wojciech, you wrote about the All Poland Women's Strike that talks about the women's want to be not silent in this situation. And you can tell us what is this moment and which are its vulnerabilities.
Okay, thank you for having me here. I would like to answer your questions. So the whole movement started 5 years ago, when the conflict about abortion started at the beginning of Law and Justice rule in Poland. But now I think we have to refer to the movement that emerged 1 year ago, because 1 year ago protests changed everything in the perception of the women's rights in Poland. So the movement 1 year ago was just a popular uprising, I would say, that was led by the all women strike. And the debate that the petition to Constitutional Court is running, and that there is going to be a ruling, was already known in the summer of 2020. But demonstrations occurred only after the ruling that said that our previous law is unconstitutional. So then all women's strike in Poland, that was born 3 years ago, started to lead all demonstrations. So after 2 weeks of demonstrations that were mainly, at the beginning, were mainly demonstrations of youth, of people my age, so students, high school students, and so on. After this, all women's Polish strike decided to create something like a program committee that was made from people from all around anti-law and justice organizations. So I would say liberal organizations that focus on fighting for rule of law in Poland, and etc. So we know this discourse of dying democracy in Poland. So I would say the leadership of the organization just took took the already existing narrative to run the protest. I would say the most vulnerable thing about whole movement was that there was no previous debate before the ruling. So we knew that the Constitutional Tribunal was working about a new ruling, and everyone was thinking, yeah, they might do it. They might say that this law of ours is unconstitutional, but there was no strategy, tactic debate about what are we going to do if they are going to say that this is unconstitutional. So when the ruling occurred, everyone was just angry. The demonstrations were much more about emotional feelings, about pandemics, about whole depression in Poland due to COVID-19, and also about the ruling. But there were still no debate about tactics, about strategy. So then the movement took this existing discourse about dying democracy in Poland. They created this committee. And then after seeing that this is not working, because I would say people didn't want this committee to be created. There was no feeling that, yeah, now we have to create some program. No, they wanted an organization that is going to lead the popular uprising in minor cities, because the major thing about the women's strike in 2020 was that even every minor city in Poland that wasn't politicized before, so there were no demonstrations in the history of modern Poland. In these cities, the demonstrations occurred as well. So there was a need, I would say, of organizing the demonstrations daily, like week after week, and then creating debates on the grassroots level. And this was something new, because in Poland, I would say, since Solidarność anti-communist movement, there was no grassroots movement like this. And political culture of Poland lacks the knowledge of how to continue the struggle on such level. So after creating this committee, then the leadership decided to create some strange, I would say, extremist alliances with anti-COVID businessmen who wanted justice after this whole lockdown of ours that, of course, hit their businesses. Then there were some alliances also with anti-vaccine organizations. Like all of these organizations were happily received on demonstrations organized by All Women's Strike. So the fuel was running away. I would say that these alliances shown everyone that the organization doesn't have a clue what it is doing. And then, after the ruling was appointed by the Sejm, so in Poland, if there is a ruling of Constitutional Tribunal, then it has to be also ruled by the institution of Polish Parliament that it is already in power. So when Parliament did it at the beginning of 2021, the whole movement collapsed, I would say. So I would say that the seed of the failure was already there in 2020, when there was no organization that or institutions at the grassroots level. People were not provided any instruments for the upcoming fight, and that was the main problem. Because what are we doing? What are we going to do if the parliament would say that this ruling is already in power? We have to create a debate. We have to convince other people from the electorate of the Law and Justice, the people that think that the compromise or any anti-women laws are okay. So we have to convince them, we have to create a space to debate with them. And I would say that this would be the thing that was mostly feared by the government. So when the government saw that there is nothing like this, there is just another anti-law and justice rhetoric about dying democracy, they said, okay, we can calm and we can just wait up this whole movement, and so they did.
Okay, so what are nowadays the prospect of the moments for the future? It will collapse, it will endure?
Personally, I don't know. Like there are talks around the organization that we need some new formula, because Malta Lampard, the leader of the all women strike, I would say she made a mistake making an alliance with Donald Tusk, because also, as liberal media says, this alliance didn't work well for her. Like Donald Tusk is not feeling that after demonstrations like 1 month ago, please Małgorzata, correct me if I'm wrong, there was demonstrations against this EU-Poland crisis when it comes to rule of law, and the main demonstration in Warsaw was held by Donald Tusk and Malta Lampard together. And Malta Lampard said at the end that we have to go all together now at the Nowogrodzka, when there is headquarter of Law and Justice Party, but Donald Tusk didn't approve it, and the politicians of Civic Platform neither. So I would say some of people says that we need a new formula, but I don't see this new formula coming. I think it might be another liberal pro-democratic organization, but it's not going to be another feminist organization. Like I would say, people are very tired of this situation. They know what was wrong, but they don't have any idea what we can do now about it. So I would say everyone is waiting for the Godot, and the Godot is not coming.
Yeah, thank you. And you also write an article about the relationship between Polish constitution and the European treaties. And what is the current situation from this point of view that is complicated as well?
I would say that the situation is very complicated, especially in the perspective in which we also refer to the border conflict on the Polish-Belarusian border, because at one moment all European Union supports Polish approach to this conflict, but at the same moment they are not approving the situation of rule of law in Poland. And the rhetoric of the Law and Justice Party, especially of the minor, I would say, satellite party called Solidarity Poland. I don't know their name in English. It's different than in Polish, and I can't recall it right now. But this party, they are saying that there is that Polish sovereignty is in danger, as well from the part of Belarus, but as well from the part of Germany. And yesterday, this rhetoric was acclaimed also by Jarosław Kaczyński in his speech, and he said that Germany is developing the Fourth Reich. So they've created the Third Reich, and now they want to create another, but the Fourth Reich. So I would say that this whole debate around rule of law is just a conflict that projects the power of each narration. It's not a conflict with an essence right now. It might have an law essence couple years ago, but now it's only about discourse and only about what is European Union about. So if it's going to be a European Union of different fatherlands with different sovereignty, not one common sovereignty of European Union, or if it is going to be a federalized subject. So this is all about right now. And I think the Polish government is taking this approach of far-right minor parties that is saying that Polish sovereignty is in danger, as well from the eastern side and western side of Polish border.
Thank you, Wojciech, and also thank you, Małgorzata, in behalf of both the Left Magazine and Media Alliance, because you are the first one to make work our our collaboration between countries in Europe. So thank you very much, and we hope that we can expand our collaborations all over the Europe and our network of magazines all around Europe. And before I come back to Małgorzata, I want to give the floor to Stefano Galieni, our mate from Transform Italy, and he's the expert of the migrant themes. So we will talk about it with him. And so Stefano, we talk a lot nowadays about the crisis at the Belarusian border, as we talk also already before today, but how much that situation talks about the European one in its role? Stefan, I can't hear you. Perfect.
Sorry. And thank you, Alessia. And sorry for my English, that's very bad. And totally agree with Małgorzata about this problem, but I think that the situation is very, very hard. Today, the international attention is focused as far as Poland is concerned only at the Belarusian border, a serious crisis in which a few thousand of people are involved. As far as we know with Italian information, people, often families with children and other vulnerable people, who tried several times, often in the way, to cross the border to enter in the European Union. They have a few days to do it. Within the year, a barbed wire wall will be ready. 108 kilometers long, costing 353 million euros, which should constitute a further obstacle to any possibility of movement considered irregular. In fact, today is partly a metaphor for Fortress Europe. The wall they wanted to build is one of many of the many that are new rising. Some aimed at the countries that are not part of the European Union, others internal. Almost 1,800 kilometers of buried borders that are not now to stop those in Europe seeking salvation, fleeing from the many disasters brought by the new colonialism. Also, along with the other countries, 11 other countries, mostly Eastern, except the modern Eastern, except Denmark and Cyprus, have asked the European Union to bear the cost of these barriers to save the borders. The President of the European Commission reacted by declaring that while understanding the reasons, there will be no European funds for these barriers. The President of the European Council on the very day, the celebration of the collapse of the Berlin Wall, 9 of November, instead a call of the Europeans to collaborate. The president, who leads a body in which all 27 countries are represented, is more affected than by pressure from governments. Meanwhile, the walls continue to rise in the Baltic countries and in Balkan countries, and the people continue to be trapped in a continent that has become like a zoo, divided into cages. Italy, more exposed to the sea borders, tries to stop asylum seekers by other means, often illegals. There are few rescue ships in the central Mediterranean, and those who flee from the ports of Libya, Algeria, or Tunisia are intercepted by not by rescue ships, but by Frontex planes that report the boats to the authorities of the ports from which they left to bring them back. Those who are returned to Libya, a country of transit, are tortured, are looked open in detention center. A very serious international violation that seems impossible to stop. Recently, the director of the Frontex, the agency for the fight against irregular immigration, Fabrice Leggeri, is under investigation for these rejections. The men will continue. About 26,000 people were intercepted and returned to Libya in the first 10 months of 2021. 54,000 managed to arrive in Italy. At least 1,600 drowned in the absence of rescue. The Mediterranean route has been one of the most dangerous in the world for years. France rejects in Italy every year tens of thousands of people who try to cross the borders in the Alps or at the sea. And over there often also one years, a shipwreck last week in the English Channel, while trying to reach in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, Stefano, it's a very dreadful situation that you are talking about. So the question is, what should we expect from the European Union regarding the status of migrants and what is happening now, really?
A bad, important, but a bad question. There are no laws in Europe that allow people to enter regularly without risking their lives. Only restricted humanitarian corridors for very few people. There have been humanitarian emergency such as the Syrian, or in the past that of Kosovo, in which for a short time Europe welcomed people. Then the entrance were closed. Will close again. Europe today only and not always part of the Afghan refugee can expect to arrive without being expelled. But the fear is that soon the street will close for them too. Evidence and even once they arrive, for the most of them, life is difficult between racism, xenophobia, reception system that often do not work, difficulties to acclimatization. The plan presented last year by the European Commission, New Pact on Migration and Asylum, is a text in which repatriation is deportation is privileged as tool to drive out those who are not considered worthy of living in Europe. Pressure from the 12 countries that want the wall at the expense of the Union will probably make the text an ever more cruel and restrictive. Nationalist propaganda continues to rage and tell about us about a continent that risks being invaded, but the invasion do not exist in Poland, in Italy, and the rest of Europe. In a continent of 430 million inhabitants, there would be room for those who need perhaps only temporarily to leave their country. And the European Union could play an important role in preventing so many conflicts, often forgotten, from becoming crises without solution. But a vision of politicas could be needed, in which, but only one moment.
No problem.
My English is very, very.
No,
Only one.
don't worry about it.
I think we understood anyway the
Hey.
points, so don't worry.
Yeah, of course.
No problem, no problem.
Maybe.
I'm afraid I have to say that our country and the very idea of the European Union are also destined to explode, not because of those who run away, but because of those who do not want to face the global challenges that await us. The only hope can come from a commitment and a political choice that only the forces of the left can carry forward, acting in the institution, in the media, and in the public opinion. Sorry, but my English is very, very bad.
No, Stefano, thank you very much. We understand all that you want to say.
If I can add one point on this of immigration, I just react on what someone is reading and writing on the Facebook, that Europe must have a rule to permit the person coming from outside to find a job, to looking for a job in Europe. And this would be a Copernican revolution for us, but it was so in the past. Europe was not made by borders, but by inclusion. So what we can promote also, what we want, what we can ask, it's to find the rule that discover the value of Europe as, and one of the values is solidarity. So I think that this is also something that we can share at European level, not to defend or to improve one national opposition to the government, to each government, but to find a way that we have a common battle at European level. It would be one of the major tasks for our societies.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
but
Roberto.
sorry, but many European countries wish not workers, not a citizen, but only a slave. Only people that can stay in Italy, or in France or in Poland, if they accept only condition to job, but in any moment they can go out if they don't consider it important, don't consider necessary. This is the very, very bad situation. If we don't change labor market, it's impossible to change migration problems. It's not a solidarity problems, it's a political problems that regards not only the migrants, but all the European citizens.
Exactly. I totally
Thank you.
agree.
Yeah, of course, I am too. And staying on this theme, Małgorzata, please, can you tell us something about the situation of the Belarusian border, something that we mentioned one more time again today, and it's very important to talk about.
Before I go to the Belarusian border, I just wanted to react quickly to your questions that you posed to Wojciech earlier about the perspectives of women's movement. I think that my colleague is perfectly right when saying that perspectives are unsure, that they are very blurred, and that the close alliance with liberal opposition, with the civic platform, turned out to be the wrong way out of the crisis for the women's movement. For in fact, they allied themselves with the party that was in power in Poland for 8 years and did nothing for women's rights. Let's be honest, they did nothing because they were afraid of the Catholic Church and of the supposed conservative society, which turned out to be as much conservatives as everybody thinks. As Wojtek said, that everybody in Poland was protesting. Even the small towns reputed conservatives foreposts. And what I think I wanted to say that the perspective for the women's movements is a further influx of young women, of the people who are Wojciech's age, not mine. So people, yes, people younger than me, who were not born at the beginning of the 90s, who were not raised in the absolute cult of the liberal market, and who are now, and for whom it is natural to mix a demand for a more just society with a demand for more civic liberties. And we say that for women who are now 18, 20 years old in Poland, it is a natural mix. Because they face, at the same time, they face the lack of basic women's rights, they face a very negative discourse from the side of the right wing, and at the same time, they are entering the labor market and they see that workers too have no rights in Poland. So I think that if this generation gets the lead in the women's movement, and if they debate between themselves how to strike the government more strongly, they may be the hope for women in Poland. And now let's go to the border, which is, yes, this is a very sad topic. And as I said, just a few days ago, the state of emergency in the border zone is over. But the government immediately introduced a new border security law, which is basically the repetition of all the provisions of the state of emergency, and with yet some more additions. So let me just remind you that right now no journalists and no humanitarian workers can access the border. They can operate only 50 kilometers away from the border. And if somebody needs help in this border zone, he or she cannot count on any help apart from the border guards who will push this person back to Belarus. And indeed, some people in Belarus on its part is trying to prove to Europe that they are humanitarian and that they actually help refugees, unlike the bad Poland, which is pushing them away. So so a few weeks ago, Belarus built a temporary center, refugee center not far from the border, and they housed some 2,000 migrants there, so that they are not camping outside in the East European winter. They are not dying from frost, at least. But we know that this center did not house all the migrants, that there are many more of them in Belarus, and that they are still stuck there because the Belarusian government suggested the migrants that they still have the chance to be allowed into Europe, and that perhaps there will be an agreement between Belarus and Germany so that at least some of them make their way to Germany. And also Alexander Lukashenko, during his personal visit to the migrant center, declared that the Belarusian border guards are not going to stop them from trying to cross the border. So what we see now is that people are being fed with the false hope by the Belarusian side that they still have the chance to get into Europe, while Poland, and supported by the European Commission, is tightening the migrant policy even stronger. By the end of August, the Polish parliament voted a bill that permits to push the migrant bags. Well, of course, the word pushback was not used directly, but but the law basically allows the migrant that crossed the border illegally, yes, to be immediately sent back to the state where he came from, that is to Belarus, and immediately he or she is introduced in the registry of the unwanted citizens so that even if he reappeared on the border crossing, then he would be again pushed away from Poland. And what is the most tragic dimension of the crisis is perhaps that we are now the frost came to the eastern Poland and more people are dying. We know theoretically that 17 people died on the Polish territory in the immediate vicinity, but a lot of migrants are saying that there are bodies in the woods, that they have to bury their comrades who not go anymore and died of exhaustion, so we'll perhaps never know how many people actually lost their lives. And the tragic thing is also that Polish society keeps being divided on the issue, for there are a lot of great people, a lot of fantastic people working, for example, in the Grupa Granica or the border group, who are helping the migrants to survive in the woods. On the other hand, their actions are supported by some 40% of the society, while the majority seems to be favorable of the government policies. The majority of Poles, not a huge majority, but still more than 50%, as it's shown by the polls, still believes the governmental discourse about dangerous migrants, about aggressive migrants, about violent people who are coming to Poland, not only to attack our Catholic religion and our traditional values, but also to be of direct threat to us. And what is also, and I would say that Polish government is manipulating the information about violent migrants. For example, as I said, the journalists are not allowed to go to the border zone, so we, the media, are supposed to rely on the films and photos that the border guard posts on the internet. And what they post for last few weeks is almost the same. So we see groups of migrants throwing stones to the Polish zone, and it is accompanied by comments like dangerous people coming or very aggressive migrants stopped by Polish soldiers. So the government is still working on the Polish society to be afraid of these people. In fact, even if these guys are throwing stones at the Polish border guards, it looks no worse than, for example, riots after football matches in some cities of Poland. So really, we are seeing the most inhuman propaganda ever, particularly that those who can search the internet can easily find videos or images made by migrants themselves, where you can see that there are not only desperate young guys on the border, there are also freezing women, there are children, there are elderly people. So yes, and Polish policy keeps being inhuman. And I would also say that Polish politics is extremely ineffective too, because although the border guards boast to stop everybody who is trying to cross the border, now we get news from Germany that about 10,000 migrants are already there in the detention centers in Brandenburg, so the border zone with Poland. They somehow made their way. We also get news about migrants being stopped by the police in Western Poland, in Central Poland. So turns out that those who are perhaps most creative, who have the strongest networks, I don't know, their family in Germany, for example, that can come to Poland and pick them up. So those who turn out to be the strongest and most determined actually do make their way to Germany, while the weakest, though, the families with children who can't march fast, or women who go alone to their families in the West, they are left to freeze in the forest. And this is something that the Polish government agrees to. This is tragic. This is leaving us, hopeless, because we would like to help and we can't really do that.
Thank you, Małgorzata. And the most important thing to reflect about is perhaps the fact that it's something that is not happening very far away from us. It's happening in Europe. So it's something that it's all about us and not about only Poland. And Wojciech raises his hand, I think.
Okay, but just I wanted to say one more thing. I wanted also to say that Polish public opinion tends to forget absolutely that we as Polish state had its part in destabilizing Iraq, that we participated enthusiastically in the American intervention in Iraq. And so we contributed somehow to the fact that Iraqi citizens are now the second biggest group fleeing to Europe, because they are already the first. Yes, they are already the first, because the Iraqi citizens are most numerous on the borders, followed by the Syrians and by people from different African countries. And really, most of those countries are either ravaged by the war or devastated by natural disasters, or both. And this fact is really not perceived by Polish public opinion nor by the government, claims that even Iraq is a safe place to live. African countries are also safe places to live, supposedly. And we are talking about people who are coming from countries like Somalia or Congo, which are definitely one of the worst places to live on earth and not safe places.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. So now, Wojciech, a quick reaction.
Yeah, I would like just to add that there is also another phenomenon emerging in front of us in Poland, especially when it comes to YouTube or other grassroots medias, because there is this narration that the whole conflict, whole crisis at the Polish-Belarusian border is just a proxy battle of Vladimir Putin. And this is a proxy battle to create some delusion about that this is the main topic we have to focus right now. But at the same time, Russia is concentrating its forces at the border with Ukraine. So the Volodymyr Zelensky and the head of Ukrainian intelligence also add something to this narration, because they are feeling that the war is coming to Ukraine. Also, the head of CIA stated the same thing, that we can expect war in the next 2 months, large-scale invasion of Ukraine. So in Poland, there is this discourse is exploited by our government. A couple of weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, the bill was signed that projects that our army should be bigger than it's at the moment. It's going to be the army of 3,000 regular soldiers, then accompanied by a civil guard. And then at the same time, there are two experts that really capitalize from this crisis. One of them is Jacek Bartoszek, another one is Robert Zechowicz. Now they published a book, The Third World War is Coming. This is the title. And this book is going to be bestseller. I mean, 2 days or 3 days ago, there was an interview with them in a prime time YouTube channel called Sport Canal that was watched by, I would say, at this moment, maybe even 2 million people, maybe 1.5 million. Yesterday, it was 1.5 million. So it was just 3-4 days ago. So we have to know what is going on also at the other side of the barricade. I mean, among the people who are against migration, and I would say that some horrible things are going on there, but at the same moment, I wouldn't say that this scenario of large-scale invasion the Ukraine is not is impossible. Right. So we have to be conscious about this.
Thank you, Wojciech, absolutely. And now if Stefano would like to say something very quick or not, I don't know.
No, I think that many things are speak well, very well like me, the Małgorzata and Wojciech. I have only a question. I know that there are 4,000 people on the borders. 2,000, 4,000. Not. It's possible that for few people in a big country like Poland, there's this crisis extreme. I think that there is solution for a few people. The really people is political and is allowed is linked to the problem with the Belarusian and with Putin that pretend to enter in the European situation, in the European crisis, but the number of the people are not problematic, I think. I'm not sure.
Want to answer very quickly?
Yes, I think that indeed, compared to the dimensions of migration, migrants coming to Italy or Spain or Greece even, what happens on Polish-Belarusian border is wouldn't say not insignificant at all, but this is really a small group, and indeed coming to Belarus by plane still requires a substantial financial contributions from the migrant themselves, for they could not fly to Minsk for free. They were supposed to pay $10,000 up to $15,000. So some of them actually sold everything they had in Iraq or Syria in order to afford the trip. So not only we are dealing with a fairly small group of migrants, but also we are dealing with people who are really desperate to stay in Europe, who know there is no way back because they sold everything they had in their native country. And so they are determined to stay in Germany, where most of them want to go. They are determined to stay in Europe and not get deported for some reasons. Those are the people who experience the worst in their home countries and really not candidates for, I don't know, destroying European societies as Polish far right is portraying them.
Thank you, Małgorzata. Wojciech, you want to add something, or are you okay with it? I can hear you.
I would say that Małgorzata put it perfectly.
Perfect. Thank you. So thank you all. Thank you. I now give the floor to Roberto for the closure of the event, but many thanks to all of you. It was very, very full of food for thought. So and thank you again. And now Roberto.
Yes, thanks to you, Alessia, and your perfect leadership of this meeting. And
Thank you.
what I want to say is not the conclusion, because we don't need conclusion, and just a talk between us. So let me just thanks again Streja, Wojciech and Małgorzata to be here, and Stefano and Alessia also to participate in this meeting, but with the promises that we don't leave the floor. We are continuously working together, and we want to enlarge also the participation and create a space like this where we can talk at a European level. And this is the most important things for me and from Transform. That's why we want to have at the end of the year will be a next round table with the newspaper from France, Greece, Spain, Poland, of course, with you. So we will invite you, of course, Italian one, but what we want to invite you to let possible the growing of this Media Alliance project. And at the same time, we have on the Poland situation, we also I want to make an advertising, because also Transform Europe are the network that we are joining, is producing with NASPROD, Fundacja NASPROD in Poland, materials on Poland. So you can check also in our website, Transform Network, and find some more information on the Poland situation. And I thank you again, and I give you the appointment for the next meeting, and I will send more information, of course, on this, but I'm sure that we can cooperate again. And as Alessia say, it's fruit for the mind that we have to create and plant. Thanks a lot to you.
Thank you. And I just recall for the all Italian and English speaker that on Strajk.eu and on left, there are the articles of Małgorzata, Wojciech, and a lot of other contributions from Media Alliance that are coming. So we hope that the languages of the Media Alliance article will expand, as Roberto said. So thank you.
For sure. Hi.
Bye.
Thank you.
Ciao,
Hi.
Małgorzata.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.